and I guess I'll start with a pretty obvious question you've probably answered a million times.
Okay.
But I've got to know. Of course, your dad is a conservative icon.
Right.
And people would say you fall a few notches further to the left.
I'm much further to the left than he was, yes.
So how did that happen? And did you have,
Just common sense, I guess. My parents all taught us all to, think our own thoughts and speak our own minds and that sort of thing. So, like many generations, I guess, you just find yourself opposing the parental generation in some respects, and there it is. I never really made much of a big deal out of it. Other people do, but for obvious reasons. But to me, it would just seem kind of normal and not that remarkable.
Yeah, I guess in many ways, most families, I guess, can have a wide range of political opinions and that sort of thing. But I'm trying to picture the dinner around the at the Reagan house. What kind of stuff that you would talk about, or if that kind of came into play, like in did you talk politics?
Oh yeah, we would talk politics, and particularly during the late '60s, early '70s, I guess, early to mid '70s, when the Vietnam War was still going on. That would be a topic of conversation, and we used to argue about that. I couldn't understand exactly why we were, how you could say we were saving a country when we were bombing it into oblivion and napalming its citizens and deforesting its land and stuff. Saving them from what exactly? So we would argue about that sort of stuff. But again, typical for that period of time, I think.
Were there particular issues where you especially found common ground, and were there issues that you were especially adamantly at polar opposites?
We were at opposites on the war, Vietnam War. We didn't see eye to eye on environmental issues, for instance. On the other hand, many people found fault with him for calling the Soviet Union an evil empire. I didn't have so much of a problem with that. I knew people in Russia, Soviet Union at that time, who were being treated very badly by the state, and who were, this was a totalitarian regime. I think speak truth to power, no matter which side of the political spectrum it may come on. And frankly, at that point, the far left meets the far right. Totalitarianism is totalitarianism, no matter what sort of banner it's flying.
You have, in interviews, you've been outspoken about how your dad's image has been co-opted, and kind of his name has been invoked by various pundits and politicians and that sort of thing. What runs through your mind when you see, say, just to take a random example, Sean Hannity invoking his name on Fox News?
As far as I know, Sean Hannity's never met my father, didn't know my father. My father wouldn't have known him if he stood up in his soup. So he's got no call to be putting words in my father's mouth. I don't even do that. I'm asked all the time, well, what would your father think about blah, blah, blah? And I say, well, I can't really speak for him. He's not here to speak for himself. In a couple of extreme cases where he's actually gone on record saying something that's opposed to, say, a position of the Bush-Cheney administration, I might say, given this, I think he would, let's say, disapprove of torture. Since he called it an abomination over here, I'm guessing he wouldn't be down with it as a policy, a few years later under this administration. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. But generally speaking, I don't put words in his mouth.
Are there instances where you kind of feel his worldview has been especially distorted?
Well, I think this idea that, he famously said in one of his speeches that, in this instance, and he was talking about a particular policy, government isn't the solution, government is the problem. But he didn't mean that globally. He didn't mean that government as such is the problem, whatever problem might arise. And a lot of people in the Republican Party now are the drown government in the bathtub crowd. They actually want to destroy the social safety net. Because they don't believe, these are people who don't believe in the New Deal. These are people who don't believe in Medicare or Medicaid. They think everything should be privatized, including the military, and we've seen a lot of that in the last, over the previous 8 years. We've now got more private contractors in Iraq than we do soldiers, and that's been going on for some time. So a lot of statements are taken out of context and misconstrued, or at least that one has been. and so I would I would take exception to that. Again, this is a group of people who really is the enemy of their own government. They want to convince people that government can't do. Oh, this is Chris. Hang on, can't do anything right. Hey, Chris.
Okay.